the COVID surge in the country. Amidst the surge, there are 5 glaring issues now that India is facing. While some steps have been taken to combat these glaring issues being faced by our country, such as operating green corridors to transport oxygen, barring use of industrial oxygen, mapping oxygen supply to 12 states across India, ban on export of remdesivir to meet domestic requirements, and advance funding approvals for SII and Bharat Biotech. But there's a lot still that needs to be done. On the other hand, as the centre maps ways to battle the COVID situation, states have been imposing curbs pan-India. Mumbai has imposed now a time frame from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. only to buy groceries, and Delhi was the latest state to announce a 6-day lockdown in the national capital in a bid to flatten the COVID curve which has been surging in Delhi. We here at NewsX understand that there is a lot of misinformation doing the rounds and lack of clarity on what's allowed and what's not. We're here to bust all those myths and answer all your questions. You can call us on the numbers flashing on the bottom of your screen. You can ask your questions. We will try our best to get them answered by experts. You can also air any thoughts, suggestions or opinions on the broadcast. We will be taking your calls live. Our number, as I said, is flashing there on your screen. You can also write into us on our social media platforms, the details of which are also on your screen. But let's open this up to our panelists. Padma Shri Dr. Mohsin Wali, cardiologist and physician, is joining us live. Padma Shri Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman and MD Nephron, is joining us on the broadcast as well. Dr. Ishwar Gilada, infectious disease specialist and health expert, also joins us. We have Dr. MC Mishra, former director AIMS, joining us on the broadcast as well. Dr. Ravi Malik, former secretary IMA, is also live with us on the program, and will be joined shortly by Hasmukh Raval, managing director MyLab. Let me begin with you first, Dr. Wali. Do you acknowledge, sir, that steps are now being taken in the right direction, from opening of green corridors for oxygen supply to banning of industrial use of oxygen to banning of export of remdesivir to advance funding now to Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute? These are steps that were the need of the hour, and do you commend that now they have been taken, but more still is left to be done?
Well, much is to be done. I was speaking to a very needy person whose father taught me when I was a school-going child, and he was in outskirts of Delhi, and he said there is hardly any oxygen in NCR hospitals. So we are short of oxygen still, and we have to manage this at war footing level, as you have rightly raised the issue. Regarding remdesivir, it's not a drug of choice for every patient, but oxygen, yes. Remdesivir is now available. Yesterday, a lot of channels did sting operations, and there is some scare in the market. And now, hopefully, to the deserving patients or in whom it is indicated, they will be receiving remdesivir, because I have issued 3-4 prescriptions this morning and they are getting it. As about the beds, the army is a welcome issue. The army has opened up its arms for the needy and civilians, and this is a very welcome step. And as you said, green corridor for oxygen, let us see how quickly this comes and is available to the patients. This is a very welcome step. And also regarding the vaccines, yesterday the country celebrated that in the vaccine issue, this age reduction and including people of your age group are now eligible to get vaccines. And I feel there is no shortage of vaccines. The issue should be settled by the government as soon as possible. And then there is one more issue which is disturbing me. This is the migration of the labor, and this is showing up again. And today still people are leaving. We have seen some images today also. And the next issue is that our cremation grounds are overburdened. Our qabristans are overburdened. And as a hospital, we could say that doctors have to be now looked after very well, because doctors, nurses, paramedics' health is equally important as the importance of the health of the nation. So I would be very strongly recommending. Yesterday, Prime Minister indicated a respectful note about the doctor community, and was very overwhelming for all of us. But you have to see that the count should not drop down. They are very much overworked. And I am hearing today morning that a third mutant has also appeared. This would be a very, 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 very sensationalized issue, and this would be an issue to be looked into deeply and open to genomic studies. So this third mutant, triple mutant, what they are calling it, is again a danger, and death of youngsters. So all this combined situation is very bad. And I congratulate your channel that you are sparing time daily to discuss the problems and update us also. We learn a lot when we come to your channel from our other colleagues. And I say to my all colleagues who are coming regularly that I salute to their efforts available for the people and their efforts in the direction of educating the masses. Thank you very much, and I respect your channel for that.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Let me take that across to Dr. Mishra as well. Dr. M.C. Mishra, at this current juncture, sir, do you appreciate that these steps are being taken by the government, obviously in the midst now of this fresh surge? But what else still needs to be done? What should now be the priority in the next week, 10 days, sir?
I think priority in next week, 10 days should be to see if we can bring this increase to downward trend, and that is possible only by people themselves to following the lockdown regulations. And I could actually sense that today morning when I came from Gurgaon to Greater Noida, that there was hardly any traffic on the roads. The police barricading was there to check whether you are entitled to go or not. So I think that's the right thing to do. And although yesterday we saw again the kind of scenes we witnessed exactly 1 year ago, last April, from Mumbai and Delhi, the crowd on Anand Vihar terminal, bus stations, railway stations, people leaving for their hometowns in Bihar and UP, from Mumbai, from Delhi, and from many other cities also it must be happening. So that naturally is very disturbing that people, although Delhi government and Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal did say that people should not go, should not leave, it is going to be a short-term measure, but it did not reach the people where it matters actually. So that is something is worrying, because these people, if they carry infection to their hometowns, and they will again create problem there also, and naturally it's a societal problem, which is how we can handle it. The government has to think about it, whether they could have announced well in advance this lockdown so that people could have availed opportunity earlier, because once it happens suddenly, then naturally there is a sudden efflux of people from these major metropolitan cities to their hometowns, and that creates a lot of law and order problem locally in Delhi and Mumbai, and also when they are boarding a train. Now, of course, the railways have announced that they have initiated 4 special trains to these destinations. So we hope that these people would be able, they don't have to walk on foot as they did last year. So all those things can be avoided, and they should be quickly transported to their respective destinations to avoid hardship to these people.
Okay, well, let me get in a viewer now who's joining us on the broadcast. We have opened it out to our viewers as well. Krishnamurthy is calling in from Visakhapatnam. Go ahead, Krishnamurthy.
Sir, thank you very much giving an opportunity regarding this COVID alliance. And see, there is so many websites are opened by Government of India regarding the first dose and the second dose. Okay, the first dose they are given, and second dose wherever we book in hospitals, government hospitals. When we go there, they say no vaccine is available. We cannot, they are unable to declare what is the date. Again, we have to come like that. So we are unable to get the dates. What is the date, if any change dates?
Okay.
We
Let
are
me take
not
that
able
to Dr.
find
Ravi
out.
Malik. Dr. Ravi Malik, our viewer there from Visakhapatnam has had his first dose. When he went for his second dose, there were no stocks available. He's confused now as to when to go back. You're on mute, sir.
is a range of every vaccine. Supposingly he has got Covaxin done, so anytime between 4 to 6 weeks he can get the vaccination done. Secondly, if he has got Covishield done, so he can get it. He can get the second dose anytime between 6 to 8 weeks. So he can go to some other center. There are 2-3 options. Number one, he can find for another center which is in his native area, and he can straight away go there, get himself registered at the center only, or he can go to book himself, register himself on the site, on the CoWIN app site, and then he can get an appointment for the desired center wherever he wants to go. If he is in Delhi, he is welcome to come to my hospital.
Okay, he's in Vizag currently though, Dr. Malik. So yes, yeah, okay.
So basically, there is no issue as far as the dose, and there is nothing to panic, because there is a huge gap of 2 weeks where he can search for the nearby center where the vaccine is available. By and large, what I have found is vaccines are available. So maybe at a particular center, they may get out of stock for about 2 days or 3 days, and then it will come at that center also.
Okay.
But in case he is more eager, he is in more this thing, then he can go to the other center.
Okay.
But
let me get in
a gap of 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
At times there is a gap of 1 or 2 days.
Okay. Let me get in Sunil now from Delhi. Sunil, go ahead.
As per the new norms, government has declared that the vaccine should be given 18 years and above. So my question is, can the child who are running in 18 can also take this vaccine?
Children who are
running in 18th year.
Yes, anyone 18 and above can take the vaccine. So if he's had his, you mean to say he's 17 and a half?
Yeah.
No. Sir, it's only for 18 and above. So he should have turned 18 by the time the 1st of May. He should have turned 18 before the 1st of May, which would make him now eligible. Otherwise, whenever he turns 18.
Look, I will Uday, like to correct one thing.
Yeah.
Right now we are giving the vaccine those who are more than 45 years of age. So it is in the app. It is not exactly by the date of birth. Supposing you are born
they are 17.
76.
They are 17. He is 17. Dr. Malik, he is 17.
Okay.
He's 17.
Okay.
That's why. He's 7.
No. Age should be counted on 1st January 2022.
Yeah. So he should. He'll have to be above 18. He'll have to be above 18, Sunil. He can't get it if he's below. As of now, but don't worry. There will of course now be the next phase, which is when it will be opened up for all. Okay. Let me bring in now some more viewers. We have Gautam now joining us from Bangalore. Gautam, go ahead.
Hi, I'm trying to register my name under CoWIN, and it says that I am below 45 and therefore it's an error and I can't register.
But you're not above, you're not below 45.
I am below 45.
Oh, if you're below 45, then obviously you do have to wait currently. You do have to wait.
No, I'm trying to register for a vaccination after 1st of May.
Okay. Any details on that front? Let me get in Dr. Bagai. Dr. Bagai, a viewer there, Gautam is under 45. He's wanting to register already for the 1st of May. He's saying it's not allowing him to do so as yet. What would be your advice to him?
Yeah, I think
even as I come to you, I just want to quickly put out some breaking information coming in. Rahul Gandhi has also tested COVID positive. So big news coming in right now. Congress is senior leader and former Congress President Rahul Gandhi has also tested positive. He's put out a tweet saying he's tested positive after experiencing mild symptoms. So another political leader of the country testing positive. Rahul Gandhi has tested positive. Yes, Dr. Bagai, back to you.
Yeah, so I think the age limit of 18 is from 1st of May. So I presume a couple of days before that, the app would allow registration. So I don't think that's so much of a cause to worry. The important thing is at the present moment is what we have done is we've not kept an age target bar, we've kept a comorbid target bar. So anyone above 18 should get it, but it's mainly looking at the comorbidities which also exist in the age groups of 18 to 45. I've mentioned this many times before with regards to the extremely clinical vulnerable. We have to be very, very, very protective to them. There is a very large study which has been published just today in which the extremely clinical vulnerable and the oncology patients, even with one immunization below the age of 45, have shown a 70% seroconversion with neutralizing antibodies. So it's very important to keep them protected even with one shot immediately. So it's good that the 18 age bar is being kept so that as many number of patients and individuals, be it young adults, middle-aged adults and seniors, keep getting vaccinated.
Okay, stay with us. Let me quickly, and thank you, Gautam, for calling in. Hope that answered your question. Let me expand a bit now with you, Dr. Bagai. We are seeing in the last, 48 hours, several steps taken from, of course, liberalization of the vaccination strategy in the country to also providing advance to Bharat Biotech and SII to scale up their production capacity, to the creation of green corridors, to certain bans which will clear up more remdesivir and more oxygen for hospitals. Do you believe these are correct steps? This is the right strategy that the government seems to have embarked upon?
Absolutely. I think it was the intervention from the central government. So just let me, Uday, with your permission, summarize some very, very important key points. COVID is going to be here for a long, long time. And even after the pandemic status converts, it will most probably, in all probability, become endemic, and with occasional outbreaks of surges of regional epidemics. But it's here for many, many years, much like the old coronaviruses have stayed. What we really need to do on a very permanent basis, so the reason I'm using the word permanent basis is we should not do anything as a stopgap measure, as a knee-jerk reaction. And once this present second wave, God willing, goes away a little earlier, we start dismantling those kind of infrastructures what we built. So I think we need a very serious relook at a permanent long-term solution towards lab facilities. Laboratories per se should not be in excess for the rich and the famous. The laboratory tests in terms of evaluation of pricing should be within range for most common people. The vaccination, like I mentioned, has been 18, but we should now target more harnessing our energies towards target vaccination for areas which are absolutely burning with great infectivity rate. The second is we need now, because we can't keep testing India over and over and over again. Individually, me, myself, I've got my tested at least 18 or 20 times in the last 10, 12 months, primarily because under the fear of having come in contact with someone. God willing, every time it's negative. But now I've got myself twice vaccinated. So we have to now institute a concept of having a vaccination passport, an immunity passport, so that we don't keep wasting our resources in checking people over and over and over again. The next point is we need to build a complete separate vertical of home triage. I'm absolutely sure home triage is the way forward, not only for this pandemic, but for most other illnesses. And then in parallel, a home care. And a couple of other points. Now we have to refocus our complete strategy towards genomic sequencing. If you don't know which type and which mutant of the virus you're dealing with, you will not be as accurate as what you can be. So I think genomic sequencing should be a part and parcel of most laboratory services. We need an artificial intelligence solution of seamless connectivity of what we call as data-driven supply chain management. It should not be that where there is a fire, then you're sending a hosepipe to douse that fire. It should be an automated data seamlessly controlled so that no hospital facility in India, I would say, runs short of at least the basic supplies which are life-saving medicine, including oxygen. We need to relook, Uday, at the entire concept of mask. Now, masking should not be something which is enforced on Indians. I will take just 60 seconds in the end. You look at a country like Japan. I've been associated with the Japanese community as a doctor for the last 30 years. It is their culture that they will wear a mask when they step out of the house, even in their own country. Japan has controlled it beautifully. The reason is we need to make this RNA virus, fair enough. Now let mask become our DNA. Unless and until we actually inculcate the value of personal protection, wearing a mask, not only in this pandemic, but further on. We don't need Coke and Pepsi and chip vending machines. Why can't all malls, all market areas, all societies have mask vending machines? It's 2 to 3 rupees. It's so cheap, it's so readily available. And last and most important is two aspects. We have struggled through the last 15 months trying to cope with this huge surge of COVID last year and this year. Now we have entered into a phase in which a lot of patients are now coming with lingering symptoms, what we call as long haulers, or what we call as long COVID. We need a complete strategy to rehab those patients. A lot of them will continue to have cardiac abnormalities, lung fibrosis, long-term restrictive lung disease, and so on. And last and final, what I would like to make a submission is, doctors for magnitude of time are a common denominator as a flogging horse. We will do it smilingly. Most of the doctors in India have worked without a Sunday off for the last 15 months. I can tell you, even from my own personal experience, there are days in which you feel so mentally debilitated and so tired. I think a lot of the younger lot will need a little bit of psychological support. They will need to look after their mental health. Let us not neglect this. You will see the next pandemic in India after this COVID-19 pandemic is going to be the mental health issues. We need to address it. We need to institute a separate vertical to look after them. Depression, anxiety, fear, lot of other issues related to this, not only with regards to healthcare forces, but even in general, people in India don't want to talk about mental health because it's considered a stigma. It's considered a taboo. But I think we need to break the shackles. We need to talk about this more so that all the people who need to reach out don't stay inside a closed closet. They come up and they speak about it, because in the early stages, almost all of this is entirely treatable. Thank you.
Okay. That is a valid point, Dr. Gilada. And, just looking forward now, because we are seeing tight curbs coming across the country from, complete lockdowns in Maharashtra to Rajasthan to Delhi to weekend lockdowns in Uttar Pradesh and other parts of the country. What should be the priority, sir, for government, for citizens in the next 7 to 10 days as we open up the vaccination to the rest of the country as well?
Firstly, the weekend lockdown or tokenism or 5 days lockdown is not going to help. The minimum lockdown has to be minimum 10 days because that is a incubation period of the virus. So if one person is infected in a family, that person will be infecting other people in the family in 10 days. And those are, if they are isolated because of lockdown or some situation, they will not infect others. But currently, the kind of spread which is happening, the lockdown may be for maybe 20 days or 30 days because we need to break the chain at least twice or thrice to contain the infection. And it is not only in Maharashtra or Rajasthan, entire country barring Northeast, except Assam, entire Northeast is not that bad. But the entire main country land is fully ravaged with corona. Now, secondly, you are asking about priority. Priority, as I have been saying since beginning, is MTV. M is masking. As Dr. Bagai said very clearly, you make masks available everywhere, whether free of charge, vending machine, rupee, or if people have some money, just donate masks to people. Because our country people have habit of using something free and then they make habit of using it. Japan or the entire eastern part of the world, they have a habit of using masks for preventing from pollution and from other infections. And that's the reason they could contain COVID in a very big way, because for them reaching from 40-50% to 100% masking was very easy. Secondly, mask has to be a standardized mask with a nose clip, right from nose to the completely cover up chin. And no one should touch the mask every time to just make it position, because that is the way you are infecting and you are carrying surfaces on your hand. Secondly, T is test, track and treat. Yes, testing is important, but in the testing, it is also important to test antibody. Antibody test is very easy, just from a drop of blood, and they are cheaper. Actually, I don't know why they are charging, the companies are charging 200 rupees or something for the cartridge, because the same cartridge is required for hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV and VDRL, and they are less than 40-50 rupees. So reagents are not that expensive. They should have made it 40-50 rupees so that everybody will do antibody test. If you are already infected, number one, you don't infect others. Number two, you do not get infection so easily. And number three, at least you have some passport in your hand that you are already infected. you can move about, but mask is important. Number 3, as has been already said, vaccine passport is very important. And that will be like an incentive to people who are taking vaccine. Similarly, in the vaccination, you should provide a lot of other incentives, like if an employer is spending on the vaccination of the staff, that amount spent should be tax-free, or that should be part of CSR. So if you have that kind of incentives provided, then a lot of people would like to sponsor from their CSR activity or NGO activity to support vaccination. I'm really glad that things are happening the way we want. And I'm really glad that NewsX has been taking this issue. I don't know, NewsX can take that credit or not, but you have been consistently taking this issue, and maybe some people in the ministry are listening. A lot of viewers, I would like to tell you, you keep on writing on MyGov app. I have been writing through our organization called Organized Medicine Academic Guild once a week later, and some of the actions are taken. I don't know, many people may be writing about the same issue, but at least I feel that some of the steps which are suggested, they are taken care of. So one of them is providing vaccine to young people. Yes, young people is important, but there is a caveat. What Government of India said, that every state will decide the policy of which part of the young people should be given, which portion of the young people should be given vaccine. So that as somebody was asking, he is 17 and a half or 18, can he get a vaccine on 1st May? He may not get, but every state may decide a different age group of vaccination. But even if you decide 18, 40% people are below 18, so 60% people require vaccination. 60% into 2, 120%, and 70% of them have to take vaccination to attain that herd immunity. And we have to also cover those people which are not vaccinated. So 70% may not be enough. So we need to have 80-85% people to be vaccinated. So for this, you need to have mobile clinic, every hospital, every nursing home can be giving vaccine. And we can also use PHC infrastructure. There are several PHCs and sub-centers, total 20,000 of them. They can use PHC infrastructure. So if we utilize medical doctors, hospitals, nursing home, and everything, I think it is possible. And one good thing government has done, which they should have done 100 days back, was providing advance to the companies. Had they provided advance about 100 days back, they could have been ready with the vaccination. That's what America had done. America and entire Europe pre-purchased the vaccine. And therefore, whatever manufacturers are there, they are providing vaccine to them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
let me get in
I wanted to share.
Quickly, sir.
A lot of people watching about the Moderna vaccine or Pfizer vaccine. My teacher, who was training me in USA, he is lying in Delhi in a hospital. He has been, Dr. Raj Kapila, he has been given the Pfizer vaccine about 3 months back. Despite that, he has got corona. So we cannot vouch by any vaccine. Whatever vaccine is available, take it. 70%, 80%, 60% success rate doesn't matter, but at least you will not die, you will not be serious enough.
All right. Let me also, in fact, get in another viewer at this point. We have Dr. VN Jha joining us from Bangalore. Dr. Jha, please go ahead.
A very good afternoon to you. I would just like to draw your attention on 2 issues. Firstly, today morning, when Manish Sisodia had announced that there are 19,000 beds, let me tell you, I am a physician on the National Helpline on the telemedicine for the Delhi region. And I know today the patients have been crying because there is no hospital beds available. Where are these 19,000 beds that Manish Sisodia has announced? Please let him throw it, because I am working in close coordination with the DSO, District Supervisory Officer of the COVID for Delhi region, and there are hardly any beds that are available. So please stop giving this nonsense. There is no 19,000 beds. There is hardly any bed, and that too only for the serious patients. This is one. Secondly, on the issue of the vaccination, yes, it is a welcome step to include 18 plus year of the group. But where are the vaccines? Today, if you work out, the group of 18 years plus in India is about 85 crores, out of which about 12 crore have been vaccinated. So for the remaining about 50 crore double dose, where is the vaccine 100 crore doses? Both the viral institutes and other agencies, they can just produce about 20 million doses per month. So how do we get 200 million doses? Who is getting this? So these are the issues everyone must discuss, because there is going to be a massive crowd in front of the vaccination center, unmanageable, and there will be panic about it. The COVID helpline, what is there, is going to collapse. That is my suspicion, as it has happened in the previous occasion also. So it's a very huge risk the government has taken. I request all agencies to kindly coordinate effectively.
We have another viewer now joining the broadcast. We are, of course, continuing to track the COVID situation in the country. Subhash is calling in from Bengaluru. Subhash, go ahead.
Yes, sir. My first question is, I have been vaccinated with Covishield, and now this one is not available in the centers here in Mumbai, nearby my place. Can I now take another vaccine instead of this? Second shot?
Okay. Let me take that to Dr. Mohsin Wali. Dr. Mohsin Wali, our viewer from Mumbai, has a question. He got the first dose of Covishield, and now the doses are not available currently at the center where he got inoculated. He's asking, can he now take a different vaccine for the second dose?
There are some studies which have shown that what we call is T-cell mediated immunity through the crossover vaccines, like once you had Covishield and then you have Covaxin, the results are better. So we are not promoting change, but if he is getting the vaccine which is different, so he has no harm in taking that vaccine. Rather, it would be academically a better option. He can go for that. So the people who are giving these vaccines, they are not aware of those details, but he should go ahead and get the second vaccine without any fear or without any complication or without any fear of reaction or without any complication. So he should go ahead and he should have the vaccine.
Okay.
And it will have probably slightly better result.
Okay. So
if nobody will give that kind of vaccine, because there's a clear-cut guideline to all vaccine centers. They will not.
They are not giving.
They will not give like that.
Okay. So it's unlikely that you will be given. It's unlikely that you will be given a different vaccine, Subhash. But you know, you can wait a bit for Covishield doses or stocks. I'm sure there will be replenishment of stocks in the next week, 10 days. But if you're absolutely not getting it, then you can request for a second dose of another vaccine. And as Dr. Wali said,
almost no chance that those centers in each cities, whole city is getting one vaccine. Unlike in Delhi, we have both.
Okay.
Many other cities have only one vaccine.
Okay, Dr. Gilada.
Replenishing the same.
Dr. Gilada wants to weigh in. Yeah.
No, but if Covishield is given 4 weeks later, that is better. Currently it is 6 to 8 weeks, but 8 to 12 weeks is much better result. So it's a blessing in disguise for that person. If he or she is not getting today, they can wait for 4 weeks.
All right. Hope that answered your question, Subhash. Our other viewers also can continue to call in. Our numbers are flashing there on your screens. You can share with us your questions or, of course, your thoughts and opinions and suggestions on the broadcast. Let me go back across to our panel that's, of course, still live with us. Dr. Ravi Malik, now, there was a demand from all across the country of opening up the vaccination to every age group. Do you appreciate this step now that the government has decided to take? Do you believe this was the need of the hour to make it available to all above 18?
Yeah, under the backdrop of the facts that this virus is particularly has started affecting the younger population, so it was very much required to open up the vaccination privilege for the people who are between 18 to 45 years. In fact, since I run a vaccination center, so almost 200 phone calls my people have been receiving from the people who are between 18 to 45 years of age, those who have small children or those who are the only earning member of the family. And they were asking when we can be given the vaccine. And moreover, for the people who are between 18 to 45 years of age and those who have comorbid condition, there is a huge set of people between 18 to 45 years of age, like those who are suffering from diabetes, hypertension, cancers, or taking immunosuppressive therapies and so many other high-risk conditions, or maybe morbid obesity. So they are asking for this vaccine. And I think now the government should be even more vigilant as far as the availability of the vaccine is concerned, because because we have a huge population which lies between the age group of 18 to 45 years. So we should be prepared that we have sufficient doses, not only for the first dose, but also for the coming dose, which will be coming after 6 to 8 weeks of giving Covishield or 4 to 6 weeks of giving Covaxin. So it is very important to rope in some more few companies and to keep stock of vaccines with them. Because right now my experience is that even the people who are more than 45, there is a huge population which is still to be vaccinated, and there is huge rush at vaccination centers. So the moment 18 to 45 sector is also given the opportunity to get the vaccination, because right now the people are more enthusiastic. They are not at all fearful about the vaccine. So that fear factor has gone, and rather they are now more eager to get the vaccine. So we need to have our inventory in place if we are opening up this sector, and this is a wonderful move by the government.
All right, let me in fact also now go across to Dr. Bagai. Dr. Bagai, it's a wonderful move, of course. It's a move that's been welcomed, but practically, how do we gear up for it? Because we are already seeing vaccine shortage, for the eligible age group of over 45 and above. When we open it up to a larger demographic of the country, how do we deal with the increased demand?
There are 4 points in this. One is the manufacturing, the number of units which are manufactured, and the supply chain management with the supplies and distribution to all the states, and then locally to each center. The second point is, of course, the local logistics, so that there is no wastage. What has been given to understand is that there is a 10 to 11 or up to 12% wastage pan-India. I think that's a criminal waste of a very valuable preventive tool that we have in our hand. The third important thing is that at the moment we have 2 platforms of vaccines, and the capacities are going to be enhanced in another month or so. So we would see more amount of supply. And the fourth point is Sputnik is around the corner. So it's already got an approval of drug controller. They're just waiting for the government regulatory bodies. And I'm quite sure that J&J and Pfizer, they both have applied. Zydus Cadila will soon be applying. And there are some other Indian companies also in vogue. So I presume by about June or July, we will have 5 or 6 platforms functioning in pan-India. So I don't think there would be a long-term shortage. We have to be patient. I want people to remember that we've vaccinated close to 13 crore people so far. That's like immunizing UK as a country 4 times over. It's not a funny joke. It's a mammoth and a monumental task just to have the initiation of such a enormously large pan rollout across the length and breadth of India is nothing short of a miracle. And remember, this is the first time we are doing adult vaccination. Adult vaccination in India, or likewise in other parts of the world, has never taken a center focus. It's now for the first time that people have started realizing that children immunization is one thing, but adult immunization is also extremely important. The percentage of inoculation in adults, barring the pregnant ladies who get a mandatory hepatitis B, is still very poor. We are still seeing typhoid, we are still seeing hepatitis A, we are still seeing hepatitis B. Elderlies must be protected apart from COVID with influenza and the pneumococcal vaccine. So there are a lot of essential vaccines which I think the normal public awareness will dramatically increase, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think in another month or so there will be any shortage. People just have to be patient. I think all of us have to work together. There will be occasional blips when you're running such a large industrial scale, never seen before pan-India rollout of this vaccination program. I'm pretty sure that you will have small glitches, but those can be ironed out pretty quickly.
Okay, let me quickly, in fact, get in another viewer who is joining us at this point. We have Pankaj joining us from Bengaluru. Pankaj, please go ahead.
I'm 48 years old and just now recovered from the coronavirus. Almost 10 days are over. So when can I get the vaccine?
Okay.
Do I need to wait or immediately I have to take?
Okay, let me take that to Dr. Ravi Malik. Dr. Ravi Malik, our viewer is 48 years old and he's just recovered from COVID 10 days ago. How long should he wait before getting the vaccine?
At least for 10 to 12 weeks, he has to wait before going in for the vaccination. And by and large, he will be forming the antibodies, so he will be protected also, but he can take the vaccination after 10 to 12 weeks. That is what is recommended.
Okay, so wait for 10 to 12 weeks is what our experts are, of course, saying. But Dr. Gilada, quickly coming across to you at this point, on one hand, there is vaccine wastage taking place, and on the other hand, vaccine shortage also is happening. Why is this, happening across the country? And as we gear up for this third stage of our vaccination program, how do we further popularize our public at large to get vaccinated?
No, firstly, the vaccine wastage may not be real wastage. They may be manipulating and giving vaccine to somebody else which are not eligible as per current guideline. It cannot be a wastage up to 12% or in some places 23%. So, because there is no punishment for wastage, you can just publish a headline, so and so state wasted more. And privately, we know from some doctors or centers, they said that we opened the vial, only 5 people were there, so remaining 5 injections we use in other people. How can we waste? Because we purchased the vaccine. Secondly, we have to convince people about convincing the vaccination. We have to tell them you have a choice between virus and vaccine, and you can decide. Those who are not infected, they are likely to be infected. The chances of becoming infected are nearly 100%. If not today, within couple of months or couple of months. So within 1 year, almost all the population will be infected. So unless until we give them vaccine. Secondly, vaccine, though there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about vaccine, and some people purposely do that, we should punish them under Epidemic Act, because any kind of misinformation that the vaccine will make you important, vaccine will make you this, that is wrong. And secondly, we should tell people that vaccine may not prevent you from infection 100%, maybe 60%, 70%, 80%, but nearly 100% preventing from death, nearly 93% preventing from serious illness. So you are not going to be hospitalized. So not mere hospitalization, it's a payment for hospitalization, which are lot of huge amounts of pay required. And we have to also convince people that those which are breadwinner of the family, young people 25 to 45, you have to protect your elderly people and your children, because any of them, they are in hospital, you have to earn more and spend on them. So ultimately we have to convince them that they should take vaccine. I'm sure despite all these things, 20-25%, maybe 30% people may not take vaccine. But that's what is herd immunity meant for. Even if 60-70% population is immunized, the remaining 30% will get benefit of that particular immunization. It is just like in a housing society, you are developing a building, 2/3 give consent, 1/3 doesn't give consent, still society is developed because we have a majority consent.
Okay, we have another viewer now joining us. Srinivas is calling in from Karnataka. Srinivas, please go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Srinivasan and I am from the State Red Cross Department. Yes. Now I have, sir, 2 questions. We have actually started a vaccination center here in Belagavi and we are catering to the poorest of the poor. There are 2 things which I want to ask. Number 1 is we are explaining to all those who are taking vaccination to keep away from liquor, tobacco and gutka. So these, we told them that it is very, very dangerous and you should not take, and we are happy that most of them are following that. Number 2, my question is that lot of people are now telling about body pain after taking the vaccination, which we have told that you can put ice and it will subside. The problem is that few of them are getting severe lower back pain, which and we are telling them don't go for diclofenac injection at any cost. So can you just guide us on that? Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Bali, let me take that to you. 2 questions that our viewer there has. He's from the State Welfare Center in Karnataka, State Welfare team. He's opened up a vaccination center in Belagavi. They're vaccinating people. 1, they're telling people to stay away from liquor, gutka and tobacco. Is this correct? And 2, a lot of people are feeling body pain, particularly in their lower back. They're advising them to put an ice pack, etc. How should people deal with this? So 2 questions, Dr. Bali.
Well, yes, this is the right time to motivate the people if they are in a bad habits. Yes, we as a well-wisher we can tell the people who are coming to us, we keep telling them and they don't listen. But when they are coming to us for vaccination-like thing, then they may very consistently listen to our advice, and they would have the benefit after leaving such idiosyncrasies. And I would compliment that doctor or that medical person who is doing this. And the second thing is about protecting the site of vaccination. The site of vaccination, yes, usually there is a very small pain. I myself had the opportunity to feel that pain, but keeping an ice would not harm. I had to keep ice, since you have brought in this question, I would tell. I had a shoulder issue. I had a fall next day of my vaccination, and then I kept ice on that, ice pack rather, and it helped. So keeping an ice, yes, allowed. It should be done if you have. And if you have pain, and don't lie on that side, that is very important. Usually they are vaccinating left side, so don't lie on the left side. So when you have to lie down, lie on the right side for a couple of days. Just 3 days later, this pain disappears, maximum 3 days. And if you have a good person who is inoculating you vaccine, it may not be painful at all. So these are very important questions, day-to-day questions, and yes, we have answers for them.
Okay.
And go ahead, have your vaccination.
Okay. Let me get in another viewer. Romila joining us from Faridabad. Romila, go ahead.
Actually, I want to know, my son who is 52-year-old, he is allergic to all paracetamol in any form. Maybe Disprin, aspirin or any other such. In case he has temperature after taking the vaccine, what does he take then?
Okay. So in case he gets temperature after having the vaccine, what should he do is your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he is allergic to paracetamol.
Okay. Dr. Bagai, he is allergic to paracetamol. In case he has temperature after the vaccine, what should Romila ji's son do?
I think paracetamol allergy is rare to begin with. But having said that, he could take a mefacinic acid. It is reasonably good and safe in children. But like everyone has already expressed, post-vaccination febrility in terms of fever is very mild, it's very transient, it's short-lasting. A little bit of ice pack at the local site would ease the discomfort, and it generally goes away within a day. So I would not recommend any other medicine like Nemucilide or aspirin. These are very dangerous in children, and they have a lot of serious complications and side effects. It is just tied over and run a day or so, and this generally disappears. Uday just got news that J&J has already applied, and they're going through drug controllers. So it is the fourth platform we should get very soon.
Okay, that's an interesting piece of information you're giving us.
That's a single dose, one-shot vaccine.
Johnson & Johnson, yes. Could this clear the entry is the big question. Okay, another viewer now joining us. Rakesh calling in from Delhi. Rakesh, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I had my second vaccination on 15th, but after third or fourth day, I am getting more sleep. After 2-3 hours, I feel like sleeping.
Okay. Dr. Gilara, our viewer has had his second dose on the 15th, but he's still getting very sleepy. He's every few hours he feels like sleeping. Is this normal?
We have never heard of this kind of side effect of any vaccine, but maybe he must have been feeling relaxed after getting 2 vaccine doses, that not get corona anymore, and that relaxation may be giving him, or maybe he's taking some medicine or something. I don't know.
Okay. Rajashri is joining us from Gurgaon now. Rajashri, go ahead.
Yes, I actually want to know that the vaccines, they are supposed to attack coronavirus. But I want to know whether in addition to coronavirus, does it also attack any other virus which is lying in our body or any other bacteria which is inside our body, including good bacteria?
Okay.
And also, how long should one stay away from alcohol after taking the vaccine?
Okay. Dr. Bali, our viewer there has a question. He's asking, is this vaccine only going to attack coronavirus, or does it attack other viruses in the body as well? And how long should he stay away from alcohol after getting the vaccine?
Vaccine doesn't attack any virus. It is not an armamentarium or any gun to shoot the virus. Vaccines provide us antibodies. They are mainly of 3 types. Most of the vaccines give us IgM, IgG antibodies. These antibodies, they occupy the spike proteins and prevent attack of the coronavirus on ACE2 inhibitors. This is the possible mechanism by which our vaccines are providing antibodies, and antibodies are fighting the vaccines. Leaving alcohol, as I said, leaving other idiosyncrasies is a very good welcome step. I would say live forever. I would say live forever. If you are taking alcohol, live forever. And this is my advice. But 3 to 4 weeks abstinence is good and can be recommended. And if you leave alcohol by this context of vaccination, it will be a great step ahead.
Okay.
We are having many states run dry, and this credit goes to our governments. They want to keep it dry. If vaccination also helps in this, I would welcome.
Okay. Let me get an Aarti now, who is joining us from Delhi. Aarti, please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon to the esteemed panel of the doctors. And I must say you're doing a tremendous job. Congratulations on that. Just a quick question. My mother, she's been having runny nose since morning. And it just started suddenly. She has not been exposed to any outsider coming from outside. So should we be worried? Or she's very prone to allergies. So should I be worried about that?
Okay, Dr. Malik, our viewer's mother has had a running nose since today morning. She's not really had outside exposure. She's very prone to allergies. Should they be worried because of COVID, or could this just be a normal allergy or cold?
So long as there is no fever, right now it is the pollen season also, and there is a change of season, and then during the month of April and March, we often get allergic patients, and moreover, she has got an history of allergy also. So this running nose can be just because of the allergy also. Uday, I will like to point out here also, as a pediatrician, I am getting so many calls from the parents. The moment the child gets little runny nose, little coughing and this thing, they got concerned whether it is corona or not and whether they should get it tested or not. So I must tell you, by and large, the symptomatology of the corona can be absolutely asymptomatic, where you have no running nose and no coughing. But by and large, so long as you are not getting fever, there is no point of getting the corona tested. And especially during this season, the allergic rhinitis, allergic bronchitis, they are very, very common. For that matter, even allergic sinusitis, they are very common in this season. So we need not worry about it. One more thing I will like to tell you, there are a lot of psychological symptoms also. There are a lot of psychological overlay symptoms also which are playing a role. Like that viewer said that I'm feeling more sleepy. So I get all kinds of phone. Okay, doctor, after getting the vaccination, I got sudden vertigo, I fell down, I got this, that. But I must tell you, this vaccine is safe. There are basically only 2 side effects which you are likely to face. Either fever associated with the headache and body aches, or the local reaction, maybe in the form of local raised temperature or redness or swelling or pain. Thereafter, there are no any major side effects for that matter. So if you are feeling more sleepy, you are feeling a lot of, you are getting different kind of, some of the patients are saying, I have got depressed after getting the vaccination. And some of the patients are calling me after 2 months that now I have started having pain in abdomen. So there is nothing related to that. Whatever vaccine is going to do, it is going to do in the initial 2 to 3 days only.
Okay, well, let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our panel for joining us over the course of the last 1 hour, helping answer our viewers' questions and also giving us a lot of perspective on this big story.